Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, Alan the Contrarian. Now, I am not a contrarian just for contrarian's sake. There's some things that I have experienced in my life, and I just can't go along with the program. Society has said you should be a certain way, this and that and that. And I'm just not contrarian material. Now, definition, of course, contrarian is someone who goes against the grain in thought or views on certain things. For instance, um, being a black man, if people hear that I was named after a white man, they would think, wow, what's wrong with that? I mean, what's right with that? What was your parents thinking? Well, let me tell you something. I understand it. We were groomed, I guess, by the 1976, I'm not sure, movie called Roots to want to not have the white man's name, but take back the African names or stuff like that. And I get it. I saw the movie and it was interesting and stuff like that, but no, I am not African. I'm an American. And for me to say that in February, Black History Month, I'm telling you, it, I'm very honored to represent the black race. But I just don't like the forcing on of Africa. I've said on this program before, if I wanted to be reminded of my African roots, all I have to do is look in the mirror. The fact of the matter is a lot of people are saying certain things. You should be a certain way as a black man. I've told the story about Uncle Tom. People don't realize that Uncle Tom was just uh, black Christian who saved a young girl's life in a made up movie, or excuse me, book. But back to my name. When I was maybe 25 years old, I was telling my father why I liked my name. And told him that I discovered that the name Allen, the way I spell it, Allen, the way he gave it to me, him and my mother and my parents gave it to me. I said, it's in the middle of the word challenge, right in the center. And so I told him that that's the reason why I like my name, because I love a challenge. Well, he was sitting across from me, and he raised up, and with such pride and honor, he said he was a white man. And I was really proud of my father because at the time, white people did not have a good reputation towards blacks in the 50s, let alone all the other decades. And so, in this telling me of who this person was, he just said he was a family friend. And because he was a family friend, my father didn't need to go into any detail. I am honored at the fact that I'm named after a white man. Well, it's not just any old white man. It was a white man who treated my parents so good that they wanted to honor him. And hey, so I'm proud to be named after a white man. Now, a lot of people are, wait a minute. Well, I'm telling you, I am not going to just go along with people just because white people have been abusing black people for quite some time. Uh, hey, if I find one, or in this case, my parents find one who is not, hey, to recognize it in some sort of a way, to show their appreciation, I'm all for that. End of story. But uh, I have to move on. Going up through high school, as God is my witness, a week before I graduated from high school, my drafting teacher said to me, and I quote, "Alan, you will never get a drafting job." Now, I graduated from high school in San Francisco, John O'Connell, on June 6, 1975. And my teacher had a good reason, because I really was a rebellious individual at the end of the year, and I refused to do certain things, and he didn't like my attitude. And I honestly don't blame him. Quite frankly, I'm embarrassed to think that I acted the way I did. But I wasn't even that good of a draftsman. But it was a Friday night. We had the graduation. My father took me and my sister, who also graduated at that time, the next day, I believe it was, to Alioto's restaurant in Fisherman's Wharf. We had a nice meal, and that Sunday, I just sat around thinking, what am I going to do? I'm out of school. Then Monday morning came. And Monday morning, I realized I had to get going. Without wasting any time, I called somebody that my father hooked me up with a year prior. And I told him I just graduated from high school and I'm looking for a job, drafting, drawing, electrical, mechanical things, mostly in buildings. So he said, come on down and bring whatever drawings you have. So he had seen what I did a year earlier, and apparently he must have saw a little bit of progress. He hired me on the spot. Now I went home and I told my father, Daddy, I'm not gonna ever look for another drafting job. And I just went on and on and on. And I'll never forget the fact he said, well, Alan, but it was your first job interview. I said, I know, Daddy, but I got the job. And the look of shock and praise, and he was surprised, but he was proud. And I held that particular job for 2 years. But it was the fact that somebody told me something, and it went in one ear and out the other. And because he didn't know the real me, he didn't know that I would get up Monday morning, not even 24 hours out of school, meaning a weekday, and go looking for work. He just saw me clowning around in class. So people don't know you, they're going to make all kind of judgments. Then there was my first apartment. Very first apartment. I went to this very first apartment, and the woman on the phone, come on down. Oh, yes, please. Once I got down there, oh, we just rented it. Well, I was 19 years old, and believe me, I was not dumb. arrogant, rebellious, but not dumb. And so I went back to work and called the lady again. And the lady, I disguised my voice. And, oh, come on down, please. So I knew I got her. So I immediately called fair, uh, fair housing. They did their work, investigated it. It was actually fair employment practice that handled the case. And of course, I sued and won. I wasn't going to take this little woman, word, and make her think that I'm just some dumb Negro with no rights. And she could just treat me the way she wanted to. Not going to happen. But then, let me describe to you another part of me. I've told this story. I think I was a couple of weeks ago on my program, but it fits. I was looking for a parking space. And I saw a woman, slender, 40, 45-ish. She was walking her little tiny dog. And her little tiny dog, she had to relieve itself or do its business. And so the dog found a place to do its business and made its little old deposit. And the lady, she was going to clean up after her dog. But the dog made his little deposit right next door to, right next to someone else's dog. And they didn't clean it up. So the woman took her plastic bag, carefully put it on her hand, and went down to reach. And instead of picking up both, she just picked up her dog's droppings. It would have been easier for her to just grab it all at once. But no, she couldn't think past what her little old dog did. My point at the time, I says, lady, it's not going to kill you to clean up after someone else. And that was a revelation that I really take to heart. Well, fast forward, I put that in a book that I wrote. And then after that, I was just thinking about the subject. And as I was thinking about the subject, I noticed somebody's dog. Oh, that's probably what brought it to mind. Somebody had let their dog do its business and person did not clean up after it. And I'm shaking my head and thinking, are people really that bad? Right then, as God is my witness, a plastic bag floats on by near the area. So where I was parked, I got out of my truck, went over, got the plastic bag, and then picked up, whoever was too scared of the dog's poop to pick it up. And so I picked it up and deposited it where it should go. Now, to suggest somebody pick up after somebody else, are you crazy? No, it's just that it didn't kill me. And we should not be so bent out of shape when we're asked to pick up after somebody's mess. And I'm telling you, it's hard. Why is it hard? Because it does no good to let the real perpetrators of litter or whatever, just do their thing. But you got to take the high road. And I say this because it brings another story of picking up after somebody, and it just my nature. I'm in a McDonald's parking lot finishing up my coffee. The car next to me is like a 2012 Impala. Two very good looking, very well dressed young men, not suits, but they were very clean. They looked Hispanic, but they looked like they were taking care of business otherwise. Well, in between the two cars, 2 feet, I guess, difference. Well, the passenger who noticed me and rolled down his window and threw his trash out of his window. Well, I wasn't going to argue with the person. What did I do? I got out of my truck, and the person saw I'm on crutches. I took my garbage, bent down, picked up his garbage, and walked over to the garbage can to where they both saw this cripple had enough legs energy to walk over to the garbage can where these two able-bodied young men, just tossed it outside the window. Hey, so some people, they would have yelled, "Pick up your trash." Well, I just don't think that that's necessary, because you're going to start an argument and a fight, and it's just going to get ugly. So there's another way to do things. Now, then comes to me playing the race card. When it comes to playing the race card, people criticize black people. White people criticize black people a lot. Why are you playing the race card? Well, quite frankly, I have no problem with playing the race card on issues. One guy, I said, I think that it's funny how white people try and tell black people when and when they should not play the race card. And so I came up with this saying. The reason why I do not mind playing the race card is, number one, before I get to my saying, you cannot solve the problem of racism without talking about racism. But the saying that I have is, I didn't shuffle the cards, I didn't cut the cards, and I certainly was not allowed to deal the cards. I'm merely playing the hand that a racist America has dealt. And that leads me to this article. If you'll notice, the title of the article is "White Privilege Oust Black Mayor." Now, of course, this is about Mayor London Breed last week, or a little week, 10 days, I don't know how long ago, being ousted as mayor in what I thought was a scandalous little thing. Now, I highly encourage you all to search the San Francisco Bayview News and read this article. It's about 1,600 words, and it was my view on what actually happened in the mayor being ousted. Of course, there was the silliness beyond the normal because they were claiming they were trying to be fair. That was their definition on the board. But as the article points out, there was nothing fair about it. And it was rigged. And the last person who probably knew about it was London Breed and a couple of others on the board. But the fact of the matter is you should read this article because it details what actually happened. And the article, though it says white privilege ousts black mayor, and in the article it says it describes the caretaker mayor scam and how it was used in this particular process. Then I asked the question because they were claiming that the caretaker mayor was to make things fair, quote. But I asked, what's so fair about 4 white politicians conspiring to oust 1 black politician? And I detailed the 4 white politicians' role and the flimsy excuses that they gave in ousting the mayor. One of them was, well, they were blaming this billionaire. Why were they blaming him? Because they thought that he would use this London Breed as his puppet. Well, I'll admit that to some extent he did use Ed Lee to be his puppet, but that's another story. But in reading this article, it's a eye-opening issue of what's going on in San Francisco. I have been for quite some time telling people that San Francisco City Hall is racist. I didn't say San Franciscans are racist, though there could be an argument for that. I say San Francisco City Hall is racist and has been for years. And that's why I had this ballot measure to point it out. But the fact that this article that I wrote, I think it got like 3,500 people read it in 24 hours, and the paper is not a big paper. It's a real small neighborhood paper. And so I was, quite surprised when a comment came up. Here's the comment. Now, please forgive me. The comment might not show up all that clear, but I'm going to read it. Wow. This has got to be one of the crummiest written articles that has been posted on the internet. I suggest the author to put in an application to the local McDonald's for a more successful career. May God have mercy on your soul. So, that's this person's view. Well, People, I'm going to tell you, I understand that some people disagree with certain things that I say and do. I love the challenge. I count it as a badge of honor to receive such criticism because I nailed the subject. And that's why I want you to read the article. Because I'm telling you, this June, as I've said in other programs, is going to be a referendum on racism in San Francisco. And as much as we would like to avoid the strife of racism, it is unavoidable. We have to talk about it if we really want to get rid of it. Bring it out of the closet. And all of this country will definitely question liberal San Francisco racist. Oh no, that can't happen. Oh no. Well, they hide their racism at City Hall behind the words diversity and equality for all. But I can guarantee you, the equality for all does not include black people in San Francisco. There are some heinous acts by people in city government against members of the black community. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that even San Francisco has more than its share of blacks who, what's a kind word to, let's just say they need a refresher course in mismanners. But the fact of the matter is when you look at the dwindling black population in San Francisco, some say it's economics. I say it's a lack of respect. And if San Francisco can show so much disrespect to the acting black mayor when they ousted her the way they did, and the flimsy excuses that they gave, I'm telling you, they did it to Oakland too. They did it to Oakland by how they went after the Warriors. They showed no respect. And they showed no respect for the Oakland community that was home to the Warriors for how long? 45, 46 or more years? San Francisco has a problem. And this June, we are going to have an opportunity to correct it somewhat. We're not going to get rid of all racism here, but if you don't come to the polls and establish that you are not a part of a racist San Francisco city government, my goodness, we are going to go round and around and around for a while if people don't stand up. And as I said last week, black people, we need to stand up. And I'm telling you that this ballot measure that I sponsored called Thou Shalt Not Covet is basically criticizing San Francisco for how it desired, without care for another, one of the jewels of Oakland. This is not right. And I think we should change it in June 5, 2018. Till next time, God bless.